is the weldment environment. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and change this to a and mark this assembly as a weldment assembly. And what that does is it provides us features to create weldments between our components here. You notice that we support fillet weld, groove weld, stitch weld, and we can even label our welds. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the fillet weld option. And when any time that you select an option, you also have several options where you can pick and choose, different types of weld symbols and for the particular operation that you're using. But in this case, we're just going to go ahead and select these two cross members, and then these two members that are attached to the 50 millimeter, and then simply by selecting those 50 by 50 square tubes, we can go ahead and preview, and you'll notice that it very quickly creates a weld bead around all locations where those members touch the 50 by 50 square tube. Now another case is if we have in the front here, we have a situation where these 50 by 50s meet this front crossbar. And how do we handle a situation like that? In this case, we can use the groove weld command. Again, allows us to apply any type of groove weld options for labeling. And what we'll want to do is basically, I'm going to change this actually to face select, because we're going to actually create a weld bead between these three faces and the bottom face of our first tube. And then I just simply tell it the outside profile and the inside profile. And then of course I want to extend these, and we give you an option to normal to base or extend to surface, and I'm going to extend them all the way to the surface. And then with a quick preview, you'll notice that we can very quickly create weld beads between these two faces. Now if I want to go back to the fillet weld command and just go to single face option, I can pick this face and we will rotate it around and pick the opposite face, and then we'll pick the top face to create the fillet weld, and very quickly we can add that fillet weld just to give it a little bit more strength. Now obviously I could run these two operations on the opposite side, but another way to do that quickly is just to simply identify the fillet weld and the groove weld and just do a pattern. And from the pattern, Quick Bar gives the user options. I'm just going to use the parallel, and I'm just going to pick the side. And I'm going to say, you know what, pick up the midpoint of this bar, and very quickly it's going to mirror those welds to the opposite side, so I can get the job done very quickly. Now again, I talked just a second about labeling, so if I come and grab, for example, this weld bead, you'll notice that it's going to allow me to label it, and we can either label it using the PMI dimensioning here in the assembly environment, or we can extract this information in the draft environment. So, with Solid Edge ST4, users really do have the flexibility to define and create any number of structural frame styles and sizes in a streamlined workflow, and then are able to take that same design into the weldment environment, where they can apply weld beads to all the frame connections. And then of course you don't want to forget that we've added the beam analysis in ST4. So with that, this hopefully gives you a good overview of frames, beam analysis, and the weldment environment.